and welcome to my channel. Here I review movies and television shows and release a new video every day of the week. Today, I want to talk about Quasi. It's a satire based on Quasi Modo, the hunchback of Notre Dame. It comes from writers Kevin Heffernan, J. Chandrasekhar, and Steve Lem, and the film was directed by Kevin Heffernan. It's set in France in the 1830s and sees Quasi Modo, played by Steve Lem, caught up in a feud between the King of France, played by J. Chandrasekhar, and the Pope, played by Paul Soter. Through a series of unfortunate events, Quasimodo ends up being tasked with killing both of them and has to come up with a way out of the situation. To start off, I want to say this film has quite a bit of crass humor and dialogue in it, and at times has full-on depictions of sexual organs, includes a lot of sexual humor, and digs for humor in even the darkest and most foul of places. If you're easily offended, you might want to give this one a pass. The story is an absurdist satire that follows Quasimodo. It spends most of its time trying to make you laugh while telling a fairly straightforward tale. The characters are all extreme stereotypes, and the film creates some truly hilarious combinations with them, but they don't get fleshed out beyond that. The closest the film comes to emotion is the friendship between Duchamp and Quasimodo, but even the emotional parts of their story are played for a laugh. The humor comes in all kinds of different varieties, but is always somewhat crass in nature. There are lots of dick and fart jokes, jokes about sex, race, disabilities, and just about every low-hanging fruit there is. The jokes can elicit everything from a belly laugh to a mild chuckle. They also tend to take modern jokes and rewrite them to fit inside the world of 1831. Jokes about people making self-portraits and calling them selfies, or using hand-drawn pictures as photo evidence. At times it works really well, and at others the jokes are too specific to be funny to anyone other than a historian. The story itself is predictable and somewhat boring, despite being filled with twists and turns, but makes up for it with a large volume of jokes. Each scene is filled to the brim with them. The cast does a great job with the humor, and a few of them have decent emotional moments, but in general the film lacks any serious emotions. And the director made a choice that may break the experience for a general audience. They used each of the 5 main actors in the film twice each. J. Chandrasekhar, Kevin Heffernan, Steve Lem, Paul Soter, and Eric Stolhansky all play 2 characters in the film. It lends itself to the absurdity, but also looks jarring and firmly locks this film into a niche category. Most of the screen time goes to Steve Lem, who is playing Quasimodo. Like everyone else, he's playing an extreme character. Quasi is innocent and downtrodden, but quick to stand up for his friends. Lem plays him with an obvious hunch, opting to lurch around instead of walking normally, and his face is always screwed up to make him look further deformed. He does a great job of acting through the physical limitations and nails the comedy. He tries to add a bit of emotion into the role as well, but it often gets repurposed for a joke and ends up feeling a little empty amidst all the humor. Visually, the film takes place in a medieval town and sees Quasi visit a few different locations over the course of his journey. The sets and costumes are well done and fit quite well with the aesthetic the film is going for. They use standard mid and close-up shots of the actors to capture the comedy and charm and edit it in a way that emphasizes the humor. It's good at capturing the absurdity of the situation as well. Beyond that, it doesn't have much to offer, but it does what it set out to do in a well-produced manner. Sound-wise, the film makes use of generic fantasy background tracks to fill out the space behind the scenery. It follows it to the letter and does a good job of accentuating the story in a subtle way. You likely won't remember it 5 minutes afterward, but it does a good job of fleshing out the atmosphere and making it feel medieval. Overall, Quasi is a fairly competent satire based on the hunchback of Notre Dame. The story isn't all that deep, and the film doesn't have much to offer beyond the comedy, but it is filled to the brim with clever jokes, crass humor, and hilarious visual gags. If you're in the mood for a cheap laugh, this is a great way to spend an hour and a half. If crass humor isn't your cup of tea, or you want more out of a film than just comedy, then there really isn't anything for Quasi to offer you. It's not trying anything new, and it's very much an hour and a half of the same thing, absurdist comedy. 6 out of 10. And remember, those are just my thoughts on the film. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Bye-bye!